to have you join us today. We are beyond excited to host this series featuring a lineup of marketing authorities, including many of the faces you already know as some of the industry's brightest and most forward-thinking experts, including several agency leaders, some joining me today. We hope that you've been able to attend each of our sessions that we've hosted since we launched this in August. Really, we developed this series for agency principals and marketers who are trying to optimize their marketing and measurable results for their clients, as well as SMB marketers trying to drive more leads and revenue for themselves, and to highlight the great work that's already underway, emphasizing the opportunity that still remains for those responsible for marketing and sales functions within their agency or their business. And really the common theme here is that, modern marketers have moved past those vanity metrics, right? Those who are really effectively leading growth are working with their counterparts in sales. They're sharing that accountability for generating leads that convert and driving real value, meaning real sustained revenue. I'm your host for this session. I'm Tara Benyuski. Great to be with you, marketing director with SharpSpring. Having spent a great deal of my career in technology and an early adopter of marketing automation and CRM, I'm a huge advocate for the game-changing potential that this technology offers. And without further ado, let's meet our panel, each representing leading full-service agencies that offer a mix of marketing automation, lead management, chat, SMS, voice, email marketing, nurture programs, and AI services for their clients. And really each transforming their clients' businesses by shifting to proactive growth strategies, aligning their sales and marketing efforts to together win revenue, and personalizing their clients' overall approach using modern strategies plus technology. And with that, Magee, I'll send it over to you to kick off introductions.
All right, amazing. Tara, thank you so much for having me part of the series. I really, really appreciate it. And hello, everyone. My name is Magee Clegg, and I am the CEO and founder of a marketing agency called Cleartail Marketing. And we're based in Chicago and also Mexico City. And at Cleartail, we create and coordinate holistic B2B marketing strategies so that every touch point is accounted for in your business. And since 2014, we've been a platinum partner of SharpSpring, and we leverage this tool a lot to execute our clients' campaigns. And with that, I will pass it to Jason.
Thanks, Magee. Jason Kramer, CEO of Cultivize here in New York. We've been a SharpSpring partner for a little over a decade. We are a platinum partner as well. And we love SharpSpring so much, that's all we do for our clients. So unlike my colleagues here, we are not a full service marketing agency providing web development or lead gen. We strictly help both direct to consumer and B2B companies be able to leverage and maximize the power of SharpSpring to its fullest, with a deep emphasis on strategy and planning on both the inbound marketing side, outbound marketing, as well as sales. We also do this for our SharpSpring friends who are other agencies and outsource and white label our services to them for their clients as well. I'll pass it over to our friend Patrick here.
Thank you, Jason. And thank you, Tara, and thank you all for having me. My name is Patrick. I am the General Manager of Search User from the Netherlands. We are a full-service digital agency, so we have been working with SharpSpring since 2014. In doing so, we were one of the first agencies in the Netherlands, and we built marketing and sales machines in which SharpSpring is always the heart of the machine.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, Magee. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Patrick. It's an absolute pleasure to spend time with you all today. Together during the session, we will uncover what agencies like yours are doing that sets you apart, and ultimately what elevates you to rockstar status. And on behalf of the entire team here, I do want to say that we hope this is only the beginning of our relationship if you are new to SharpSpring. If you are new, SharpSpring offers the most comprehensive yet affordable revenue growth platform. We look to equip agencies and small to medium-sized businesses, reach the right leads with targeted communication, win more customers with that dynamic customization, and convert deals faster with revenue generating features. I also want to give a quick shout out to our current SharpSpring partners. We're so glad you joined us today, and we hope that you walk away with fresh insights relevant to each of your businesses. Now, we won't cover too much of the SharpSpring platform today, but we certainly would love to show you afterward. We're pretty proud of what the platform offers. And anyone who does attend a demo from this series will get one of our cool but limited Revenue Rockstar t-shirts. To do that, just point your QR scanner to the code in front of you. You'll see a page to register for the series. If you scroll to the bottom of the form, be sure to mark yes to sign up for a live demo. Select yes. And you will have an option then to specify your shirt choice and size. And quickly, we'll just touch on a few housekeeping notes here before we kick off. Yes, the phone lines are muted. However, if at any time you do have a question, please submit it via the chat panel. We'll watch for it. We'll do our best to answer or follow up after the webinar. It's likely we may not have time to field that question today. And yes, we are recording today's session, and we will make it available to you all. And at the end of today's webinar, we will do another drawing for a concert ticket gift card giveaway. Let's just, before we jump in, let's take a quick peek at our lineup of A-listers that we have slotted for upcoming sessions. We have recently added a couple hosts. We certainly hope that you will be able to tune in for what we believe will be great content delivered by our partnering agencies and our heavy-hitting industry leaders that we partner with. So, as we kick off here, let me pose an opener question to each of you. As you all really have unique experiences and insights, help us understand in each of your minds, what is that pivotal moment when a rockstar marketer is revealed? Meaning, what is that one trait that to you stands out as being different from the status quo? We define it really as a marketer or an agency leader that prioritizes the entirety of their customer journey and thinks in a comprehensive full funnel approach to drive measurable results. Patrick, I'll send it over to you first to give us your take.
Well, I can't pinpoint a specific moment when the penny dropped, but over the years we've grown at asking the right questions at the right time, and by finding clever ways in using the software, which allows us to qualify the lead quickly.
Excellent. Jason, how about yourself?
I think there's two components. One is it's a marketer that understands what's going on the sales side of the equation and is leveraging that information and insight from the sales team. But it's also a marketer that understands that marketing can be a profit center and isn't necessarily an expense item on the P&L. And being able to leverage a tool like SharpSpring to get those insights is a real game changer.
Excellent. Magee?
Yeah, so in my agency experience, I think the biggest thing that we always find is moving from theory and just surface-based leads and just kind of, we're generating traffic, these kind of KPIs that are very superficial, and then moving it down to the root of, did it turn into real money that's driving revenue growth, and is it profitable? And I think in our experience, when we felt like everything kind of connected is, we took a client from 1.5 million to $5 million within a 12-month period. They've grown exponentially since then, and that's when I really feel like, okay, this is having a real impact on growth for your business and your clients.
Excellent. So I guess, Magee, let's continue that thought a bit. So when you think of rock stars, right, there's a certain mindset that rock stars have. There's almost an attitude that they exude. As a revenue rock star, there's also a mindset, right? There's a sales and revenue mindset. I know you work mostly with B2B companies to implement their marketing strategies. Tell us about your approach to helping your clients attract potential customers to fill that top of funnel for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tara. So basically, the way we look at it when we jump in with a new client is we need to understand a few things. First, who is the ideal customer? And second is what are the three things, or it could be five, but really we want to simplify. What are the three things that they care about when doing business with you? And where are they hanging out online? And based on that information, we decide, okay, where are we going to focus our attention? And I find a lot of the time, the way when I run into companies that have had an established business, because usually it comes out they've been successful, they've broken this $1 million a year revenue mark, or maybe even higher at that point, and they've done it through really good sales tactics, they've done it through relationships, they've done it through excellent customer service referrals, but they've never established a marketing engine that's allowed them to just have a stream of leads that are qualified to come in and turn into real revenue dollars. So what we always look at is, well, who do we want to focus on? And one of the ways that we do that in business to business is we take a look at their transactions. Like, let's download your invoices from the last 5 years. And let's look at who is your most profitable customers and who are your best customers. And let's get more of them. And then once we understand who they are, then we go and talk to them. I think a lot of people like to guess, but the easiest thing to do is just go and call these customers up and say, hey, why are you doing business with us? And why have you grown with us over these years? What are the things that you love about us? What should we be talking about as the most important elements of why you're doing business with us? And then once we have that information, this pretty much formats all of our messaging. And then we go ahead and we take it and we find out where their potential customers are hanging out online or physically. I've had situations where people say, oh, it's the entire United States. But is the entire United States? I mean, is there any other element that's advantageous to have it in a 30-mile radius of you? Are you servicing some of these things? And so then once we really understand that who is the best customer, where they're hanging out, and where they hang out online, then we develop a strategy to attract those approaches in a cost-effective way that's affordable at the time and what their marketing budget is. And the bigger, the better. But we start with baby steps sometimes.
Excellent. So, as we can all attest to, customers today more than ever self-educate versus talking to a salesperson, at least in the beginning of the buying cycle. With that shift, what does marketing need to do to fill this gap?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as everyone I'm sure that's attending this, we all are aware, and we all do it ourselves. We go online, we research, we scroll through every product review, testimonials, anything online that we can find out. There's a million different touch points, it seems like today, where someone can educate themselves, find flaws, find benefits. So what we want to do is first, let's remove all the objections. If we get someone's attention, we bring them in, they're a qualified lead. We really want to make sure that first, all objections are removed. So we need content that is strategically placed online for them to get access to that, so that we can have that conversation without having the conversation. And then secondly, I think another missed opportunity is a lot of people put these things online and bury them within websites sometimes, but we need to bring that out. We need to make sure that we have a system to introduce potential customers to how we remove those objections, what are the benefits of doing business with our clients, and to make sure that that's strategically put in a time sequence. Welcome sequences are a wonderful introduction to potential customers, and I highly recommend using them. That's one of the things that we always put in with SharpSpring is when we acquire somebody and we win this email address, how do we communicate with them moving forward and get them comfortable with us before we even get on the phone with a sales rep? And I think it's really, really important to have a system in place to do that.
So kind of really requiring marketers to really understand that full buying cycle, full complete customer life cycle, if you will. So drilling into that a bit more, like a consumer experience, right? In business, people want information ultra personalized to them. We're busy. We have our sights set on very specific needs and challenges. How do you work with your clients to actually execute a personalization strategy? Again, this is one of those buzzwords, personalized and customized, but how do you actually work with them to execute that strategy? Meaning, how do you suggest they provide true value at the end of the day for their targets?
Yeah, absolutely. So I find when personalization comes up, sometimes, if you're in a theoretical stage, people really want to get deep into it. And sometimes I find these conversations, when they're brought to me, they're overly complicated. They want to, have images. They want to have everything in their data profile in potential emails that go out to them. And even when it comes to retargeting ads, and that stuff's interesting. But a lot of the time, I find that it really just comes down to, are we talking to them about the things that are important to them? I think personalization is great, but really, I think the key drivers as a foundational element to think about is, where are they going on your website? What materials have they downloaded? What industry are they in? What size company are they? Are they the owner? Are they the VP of sales? Are they the marketing director? All these people have different pain points that need to be addressed. And so first, one of the things we want to do is we want to organize these segments. And usually, hopefully, it's just a few different buying personas, which can also be programmed with SharpSpring, which is really, really a valuable tool. And then based on these buying personas, we talk to them about what are the things that are important to them. So like we talked about earlier, what are the three most important things when buying from your client or your business? We want to then go further. If there's a variety of buying personas, let's go deeper into what are the pain points of those individuals. And then let's just have personality segmentation so that we can communicate with them effectively. I think another thing that is important as well is, even if they are the same profile, when it comes to discovering your company and then getting them towards a conversion, you also have current customers that are at different stages of expansion with you as well. And I also think it's really, really important to dig into the actual transaction data that you have on file, because if someone's buying just kind of an entry level product with you, well, that's the first step. And we want to make sure that they know everything that you offer, services, products, because most of the time I find that many of our customers will have these massive opportunities just hanging there, but they only buy one thing and they just never knew that they offer these other things to expand into. So that also comes into play with current customer marketing as well.
That's great. It's almost as if it were a true conversation, right? As folks are engaging with things online, and you can see different patterns or different behaviors that they're exuding. That tells you a lot, right, through the digital footprint that they're communicating. So that's great. I think maybe lastly here, what would you suggest to folks would be practical takeaways that your clients and others like them should know to really enhance their approach to driving real revenue? At the end of the day, what are those practical takeaways?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest opportunities that are always missed. Now, again, this is when I say this advice, it's usually someone that has an established business already. But one of the things that I always run into when working with B2B company is they have no idea what their retention rate is, and they aren't focused on solving it. It always comes down to, we want new customers, we want more traffic, we want all this stuff, but they're completely neglecting their current customer base, expansion opportunities, and actually retaining customers. I mean, there's situations where we go in and one of the things that we like to do is, well, let's do a customer satisfaction survey. Like, let's see how happy people are. And so we call their customers and say, what are the things that are good about doing business with this group? Do you like it? How would you rate them on a scale of 1 through 10? The ultimate question. And we find that everyone's really angry, but they just resort to them because they're the only shop in town or the only manufacturer that does this. And that's not a good situation to be in. Your retention, if we can get that up to 90% and then just continue doing the things that you're doing, you're going to have massive growth. And so also those expansion opportunities with current customers, making sure that they're aware of other services that you offer, and you need a mechanism to educate them on that. And this is the thing that I would definitely recommend to everyone on this call is, if you're in a B2B situation or even direct to consumer, just look at your current customer base. It's not always about new customers. That's wonderful. But if you can't keep your customers, there's no point in marketing for new customers.
Excellent. And Patrick and Jason, I'd love to hear a little bit of commentary from your perspectives as well on why is it so critical to make sure that there's that mindset of having a close connection to sales and revenue.
Well, a lead is nice and of value, but ultimately it's all about more sales and more profit. Marketing automation has enabled the gap between marketing and sales to become smaller and a two-way relationship to form. In this relationship, both teams enhance each other's performance in terms of result and workload. By setting up the tool properly, you can trace exactly which campaigns ultimately delivered which sales and the amount of profit connected to those sales. This data is key to optimizing your campaigns at the front end.
So with that, it really offers a closer focus or a tighter focus, will, on driving those true results at the end of the day. And Jason, how about yourself? Give us a little bit of your perspective.
I think my fellow colleagues here kind of summed it up, but I would just say that, the world of businesses where, sales is isolated from marketing is really no advantage to anyone. And so the sooner you bring those two teams together and then share that information, there's a lot more opportunity that can come out of it.
Excellent. So, Jason, let's dig in a little bit more. When you think of Rockstars, again, another trait that stands out is they're hyper focused on their craft, right? They've got a very tight focus. Similarly, revenue Rockstars are also hyper focused on initiatives that, and results that prove ROI. Today marketers have to intimately understand and have their sites keenly tuned into organizational growth goals and plan and execute in order to achieve those goals. In reality, we're really not talking any longer about marketing just having a seat at the table, right? Rather, we're talking about marketing stepping up and more so running the table by actively demonstrating, how revenue will be run, where they'll find their new customers, how to reach ideal targets, not just any target, and ultimately convert to close business in order and to retain clients. How do you and the team there at Cultivize truly partner with customers to shape a strategy that proves impact at the end of the day to the bottom line?
Sure. Well, we're focusing a lot on, Tara, the sales and marketing, which is certainly important, but it's also about the productivity and efficiency of the clients we work with and any really business out there. One of the things that we really focus on a lot is understanding what are the mundane and repetitive tasks that are being done internally to move that prospect into the customer phase for a salesperson to follow up. And so if a salesperson has to remember to do a lot of things, certainly they might lose focus. So for us, it's understanding how can we make the entire process more efficient, not only just for generating a lead to come into SharpSpring and nurturing them, but what is the sales team going to do and how can we amplify and improve upon the sales team's effort? Because at the end of the day, we all know that a salesperson, what do they love to do? They love to sell, right? They don't want to be sending follow-up emails, and creating follow-up tasks for themselves or other team members. So we can understand what that process is and look at that. And SharpSpring provides some amazing tools to be able to analyze where there might be some deficiencies. That, 10% in time, 5 hours a week, 5 hours a day, whatever it might be, fortitudes to be able to have a sales team to focus more on sales. And if they could spend another 5 hours a day, 5 hours a week, whatever it might be, that we're able to amplify that, then that's just more revenue for them. So that's one of the key factors that we look at is, all those components that are connected together.
That's great. And I think, there's a secondary benefit too there that it frees your folks up for doing the meaningful work, right? Versus being caught in the admin day-to-day. So, going a bit further, Jason, really getting into tactics, how are you helping the folks that you work with understand how to actually convert leads from an awareness stage to actually motivating them to take?
Sure. So again, it all comes down to the behavioral actions that these individuals are taking through the buyer's journey. Every component that we can put together, from whether it be gated content, whether it be videos, whether it be even referral links going outside to another website, every marketing asset and communication asset that our clients have, we want to track all of that, in the media library of SharpSpring and be able to know when are people engaging. So if somebody downloads an ebook but doesn't view it, well, there should be a campaign to follow up with that person to nudge them to actually look at that ebook, right? Because if you're saying, hey, I want the ebook, and you never read it, well, there's a disconnect there. So it's not just about delivering the content, but it's also following up and then, kind of sprinting off based on what path that person is self-selecting and choosing. And I think, having that information along with any insights, as Magee, you had pointed out earlier about data you may have in the CRM about their industry, about their title, about prior revenue, all these factors come into play so you can really shape and drive that person through the process in a more meaningful way. And not to forget, there has to be some human interaction. So, when is the right point to make a phone call, to send a personalized email that is not automated? Because sometimes you do need that component depending upon the business and the product or service that's being sold.
So I guess kind of dovetailing from there, how are you helping your clients also then throughout this process? How are you helping them stay top of mind then after they've got the initial interest? How are you helping them stay top of mind then and actually convert from there to close business?
So, I like to use the analogy, Tara, of like a billboard, right? So we all know that in a billboard, traditionally, you need to see a billboard 7 to 10 times before it actually registers, and you remember the message, remember that brand. So marketing is no different, and monthly newsletters, content that can be sent out, just to be top of mind, to stay in front of people is one simple tactic. But then there's so many others that SharpSpring fortitudes us to be able to do, such as remarketing ads. So if they get an email, they open and they engage, being able to serve that same person digital online ads in a timely fashion is just reinforcing the brand messaging and potentially maybe even a time sensitive offer. So it's really looking at all the touch points. And sometimes it's not even just digital. We have clients that have lots of success with direct mail that we interfuse into the digital and the email marketing that we're doing. So as Magee pointed out before, it's really understanding who is the target audience, who's the decision maker, who are the gatekeepers that you might have to get past to provide information to that are going to share that with the decision maker, and be able to orchestrate that in a way that makes the most sense to accommodate the buyer's needs, right? So they're getting the information when they need it, but also to accommodate the sales goals. If you want to close a deal in 30 days, what are the things we need to do to be able to make that happen so the buyers is informed as possible to make the right decision?
That's great. So, okay, one last couple other questions for you. This is where it starts to get a little bit more real, right? So how are you actually partnering with clients and quote unquote sharing accountability with them, really, side by side, sharing that accountability to help them understand their business acumen and what their specific organization's financial goals are, and then to put into play, put a plan in place against those real business goals.
Sure. So, my background is 25 years of marketing, right? So while we may not provide the lead gen and other aspects to our clients, the knowledge that I can bring to these conversations and our team really gives us the fortitude to look at these different marketing angles, right? And what they're doing, and do they make sense, for the business, and are they bringing in any actual revenue? Because we all know that a lead is a lead until they turn. Patrick, you made the eloquent point before. A lead is great, but we really want a customer, right? We want them to be able to convert. So really, our focus is on the strategy side for the foremost. Like we said, we could play in the sandbox with all the great tools that SharpSpring provides, but we have to have that clear strategy to make it meaningful. So determining, whether different functionality like chatbots and other things are needed is where we'll kind of come in and make those recommendations. To your question before, Tara, about on the financial side, certainly every business has revenue goals. Being able to tie those things into SharpSpring and other platforms. I think Magee had mentioned ERP systems earlier, whether it be QuickBooks Online, using Stripe, if they're doing payments online, being able to pull all of that financial data together to be able to give back to the client to say, yes, this is how much we've actually been able to generate, down to the penny, and have everything be accurate, is widely important. We have one of our clients, just quickly, that sends out over 100,000 emails a month with a subscription model in the government news space. So, being able to know that number of subscribers, of who's subscribing to the newsletter, who's paying, the renewals that are coming up, et cetera, is vastly important, because trying to do that manually would be a burden that no one would want to undertake.
Excellent. And so, Jason, I would assume that this is not a one and done process, right? This is a continuous conversation that you have with your clients. This is what real relationship looks like, right? With working with them and making sure that you continuously demonstrate the need to show results.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tara. When we started 10 years ago with SharpSpring, we didn't have that ongoing kind of mentoring and coaching that we do today. And we've learned from, what works, what doesn't work. Now, for the number of years, every month we have a strategy session with every client. And it's, a mini audit of what's been going on in their account in the last 4 weeks. What has their team been doing on the marketing side and the sales side? What improvements can we make? And evaluating everything, because this isn't like a printed brochure. We're not putting it, on the press and saying it's done. We're constantly looking and making tweaks, making modifications, because while we'll have our best guess on what is going to work, it's only till we put it into motion and sit back and look and evaluate week after week, month after month, to say, okay, are we meeting the goals that we've set out to do? And if we are, that's great. And now how do we build on top of it? So I like to think of SharpSpring and platforms like it as a phased approach, where we have our kind of quick wins, and then we start laying on top of that with more goals as time goes on.
That's great. I want to extend it over to Magee. Magee, briefly give us a little bit of what you're doing to help your clients stay hyper-focused on initiatives and results, proving real ROI at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, as Jason pointed out, he was talking about frequency of touch. Those billboards up, you seeing a billboard 7 to 10 times, it instills the message in your potential customer's head. And he covered a lot of wonderful things there. But one of the things that reminded me of one of the elements of our services, one time we did an analysis of, what is the real return on investment for email marketing? Because that's a lot of conversations just elusively, did they call? Did they eventually come back? Is it just them seeing that email over and over again that leads to a transaction eventually? But is it measurable? And one of the things I'd recommend is just take a look. If you're doing a monthly email or weekly email, just take a look at what is your average account size on an account that actually is on your email list and is being contacted frequently versus an account size that is not on your email list and not subscribed. And you'll see a massive difference. In one industry, we saw that it was a 4 times difference in average revenue per account, just being on the email list or not being on the email list. So finding elements to really tie back revenue and frequency of touch and how these marketing campaigns come together is a lot of what we do. And we've spent a lot of time digging that deep. And before, it used to be just service level, how are leads coming in? What's the number? But really, you have to go all the way down to the money mark. And I think Jason did a really great job of explaining some of that.
Excellent. And Patrick, how about yourself? How are you working with your clients to stay hyper-focused on driving real results?
Well, it's all about building the data, because when you connect all the campaigns and you build all the opportunities automated with SharpSpring, then when you have enough data to know that if you throw in $1 at one end and 12 comes out at the other, then you can really scale up. And this insights is what SharpSpring provides us.
Excellent. So, Patrick, let's continue down that road a little bit more with data and what it tells us. So, if you think of one other trait that Rockstars have, they have this unrelenting passion for their delivery, right? Their kind of fan experience, if you will. Similarly, revenue Rockstars are passionate about a customer-centric approach. How are you working with clients to develop a customer experience that results in growing the bottom line? And then maybe you can even weave in a little bit on the data point. How are you using data to help deliver that dialed in customer experience that results in growth?
Yeah, well, it's all about zooming in with the client on their marketing goals, but also on their business goals more broadly, because a good marketing automation strategy is more than just running a campaign with this simple email follow-up. It's all about a well-developed strategy in which the target audience, its environment, and its pain points have been thoroughly considered and defined. Once this information is clear, it forms the foundation of the content strategy to guide your target audience to the next phase in the customer journey.
Excellent. So here's, where we get into a little bit more of those buzzwords, right? With this customer journey, you hear a lot about it. How are you actually working kind of on a day-to-day basis with your clients to practically learn how their customers buy and what's then needed to support that strategy?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it starts with a detailed strategy session. This is a brainstorm session with the client in which we talk through the current sales process and we map out the entire customer journey. It is important that not only the marketing manager is present at this strategy session, but also the sales manager, because ultimately it is his sales story that we will mainly automate. And in the session, we zoom in on the target group. We always strive to make it as specific as possible. Who is the target group? Where is the target group located? Which channels can we best use to reach the target group? But also, what is going on within the target group? So what are the pain points? What are the challenges? What are the wishes? What are the needs of the target group? And from this strategy session, we devise on on one or more lead magnets. We also make this lead magnet as specific as possible about the pain points of the target audience. Because the lead magnet is always gated content, we can ask some additional questions in the form. What we often do is ask the specific situation regarding the subject. As a result, we can already qualify someone in an early stage as a marketing qualified lead at the opt-in. The answer we receive indicates in which phase of the customer journey the lead is at that time. So one of the most important questions in the strategy session to the sales manager, that is, what information do you need before you want to pick up the phone to call the lead? So what data do we need to collect throughout the customer journey to ultimately qualify someone as a sales qualified lead? Well, marketing automation helps us to get this data by sending the right content at the right time, personalized, and by asking the right questions along the way.
That's excellent. So you mentioned something I think that stands out. You touched on the alignment between marketing and sales, and even some of the operations folks. How critical do you see that partnership?
What we always empathize during our sales pitch, and as well as we do during the onboarding, is that implementing an inbound marketing strategy can only succeed when there is enough input from the clients themselves. It is a collaboration that only succeeds when all parties deliver. In addition, it is key to evaluate monthly and go through all the results. It is also important that the sales manager is present during these evaluation moments. Continuously assessing the quality of his leads is necessary in order to stay focused and to be able to adjust and optimize. The latter is more difficult because it requires monthly time and effort. But if we don't do this, then we're just doing something without knowing the end of the results to our clients.
So critical to do the heavy lifting or the hard work up front to see the real results and over time. Jason, let me send this over to you too. How critical is it for you, working with your clients, for them to understand a true customer-centric approach, or how are you actually digging in and helping them build out that approach?
Well, yeah, I mean, so there has to be a champion, within the organization, somebody that's going to take accountability for the team underneath them. Without that, we might as well say, hey, nice talking with you, and let's move on, right? Because we can only change so much on our end. So what I would say is, finding the decision makers and the leaders within the organization that's really going to be able to have those insightful conversations. But more importantly, as you start rolling out the action plan, they're keeping their team accountable. And I think that is one of the things that's most often missed. And certainly I know we look for as a potential red flag is if we can't find, that captain of the team, so to speak, in our initial conversations with a prospect, then, we know that there's probably going to be failure because this is just disjointed organization. So I think it really stems from, success stems from how well the organization is on their own before they even come to us.
That's great insight. And then Magee, how about yourself? What are you doing to, I guess, go beyond the buzzword, if you will, and what are you doing to help your clients practically lay out a customer-centric approach, other than just doing things that maybe throwing a few things against the wall, hoping they stick. But how are you getting in front of it to help them actually build out an intentional customer-centric strategy?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Patrick and Jason covered a lot of really, really great points there. But one of the things that I would just add to the conversation is what I find a lot is in organizations, people get really comfortable with what they're doing on a daily basis. The marketing team, they got a plan. Okay, let's execute this, and hopefully we can just do this over and over again forever, and and then not create from there going forward. It should just work, hopefully. And then on the sales side, they like the same pitch. They like going after. They like having the same materials. But what I find the strongest groups that I work with is they are having an in-person conversation, sales and marketing in the same room, and they're communicating, hey, I actually found out this new pain point through a sales call that I had the other day, and it's not in line with anything we talked about. Maybe we could explore this more. Marketing team needs to know about that so they can potentially invest in addressing that issue with their messaging. And same with the marketing side, what are the things that are actually working and who are the best prospects to focus on and who's actually engaging with material. And that information needs to be pushed to the sales team as well. But I think the best thing that you can do is bring those conversations together and work as one team in one room, and then take a forward movement at the same time with both sales and marketing. Because without that communication, it just becomes very disjointed and confusing for the potential buyer and current customer.
Oh, that's great. I just want to thank you all. I think each of you have offered really great and practical insight. As we start to wrap up, I think one common theme too has really resonated throughout this is that you can do this once, maybe do it well, but in order to really do this for the long term in a sustainable way, you have to rely on technology, right? Things like, SharpSpring, sales and marketing automation, CRM, and other tools to really support that long-term sustainable approach. I do want to just say, thank you again to each of you for giving us that brief snapshot into the great work you're already doing to support each of your clients' growth. We're personally thrilled to partner with you. In closing, we do want to leave you with 3 key points that we've put together to get you, to further think through as you're looking to elevate your own approach back at your agency or your business. And, one is really know your customer, right? So really listening, understanding what your ideal customer cares about when they're looking to make a purchase. Where are their challenges? Jason, Magee, and Patrick all touched on this. Where are their real challenges today that they might not even realize? And how are you helping to extract that? Or an opportunity that they need help to recognize? How are you partnering with them to extract that information? Instead of being quick to talk about, just what you're selling. To accountability isn't just for sales. Marketing is as much of the equation. More than ever, marketing needs to, even lead this work in alignment with their sales counterparts. And then also, we're getting past the buzzwords, doing the hard work up front, the real work to understand, what's needed across every stage of the buying process and implementing sustainable strategies over time and being consistent. And as a lighter takeaway for today, I mentioned at the beginning of this session that we would conduct another one of our gift card giveaways in the form of a digital raffle. We want to send one lucky winner and a guest to an event of your choice so that you can ultimately continue to rock out beyond this webinar series. The gift card is valued at $300 and can be used for virtual or in-person concerts, also theatrical performances, sporting, parking, merchandise, whatever you choose. The only qualification we have is that you be registered for the webinar series to be eligible to win. And with that, I will have our webinar producer spin the wheel to reveal the lucky recipient. Drum roll. And our lucky winner, congratulations to Quentin A. Congratulations, Quentin. We hope you enjoy a production on behalf of SharpSpring. And as we wrap up quickly here, I just want to give a quick sneak peek into our next session. So we have the next session on October 6th features Todd Lebo from Ascend 2. I think many of you folks know Todd. He will present new research on the state of MarTech, the challenges presenting and having too many tools and an abundance of unusable data resulting in lackluster results. And he will be joined by our agency partner, Matt Keppel. So again, I really want to thank everyone for joining us today. We had a lot of content to digest together. Magee, Jason, and Patrick, I'd love to have you give kind of just closing words and sending out a goodbye to the group as we end our session today.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Tara. I really appreciate everyone joining today's webinar. And we've had a wonderful experience with SharpSpring over the years, and I highly recommend, if you're not currently using SharpSpring, investigate it, and feel free to reach out to me at any time. You can see my direct contact right there. That's my number. That's my email. Feel free to shoot me a message. Shoot me a connection on LinkedIn or Twitter as well. I'm there. And I look forward to engaging with everyone.
I also wanted to just say thank you, Tara, for the invite. It's always great doing these webinars with SharpSpring. Really enjoyed the conversation today. And as well, if anybody has any questions about SharpSpring, you're thinking about it, you're already using it, feel free to give me a call. That is my direct number. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well, or shoot me an email. I'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Tara. It was great to participate. If you want to have contact, email me or call me, and have a great day. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for joining us today. We really look forward to seeing you all on October 6th for our next session. And please don't forget to, if you haven't already, register for the full series. We've got a ton of heavy hitters coming over the course of the next few months, and we think that you'll all walk away with great insights for your businesses. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to furthering the conversation.